be the minority because the majority is overrated. We're living in a day and age right now where so many people, they bow down to the culture. And we just start doing what the crowd is doing, whatever the crowd says to do. So many of us, we're just doing things that we don't even agree with or believe in simply because our friends are doing it. The only problem with that notion is that your friends don't have the life that you want.
I've gotten rid of all things, people, and situations that no longer belong. I love myself too much to allow people, things, and situations that are dysfunctional to stay in and around my life.
You got to surround yourself with people who have talents and skills, not just people who love you. I'm glad you love me, but loving me won't bring these fish in. I want to know, can you carry some weight? I'm talking about somebody who can carry the weight when the net is about to break. You are carrying so much weight and so much responsibility that you are at the breaking point. And you can't even tell anybody that you're at the breaking point because you have a Superman complex and you're trying to be there for everybody. But the reality is the weight of what you're doing is breaking your nets.
What's important is that where I am right now, that I live life and I experience my life fully. See, if you go through life holding back, most of us, if we ask ourselves, have we done all we can do? Most of us will have to answer, no, we haven't. We've been holding back. We have ideas that we don't act on. We go through life trying to seek security and not coming outside of our comfort zone. Things we want to do, we're afraid to take chances, and we take most of our stuff with us to the grave.
Because leadership begins with your belief. And your belief system determines your philosophy of life.
And I'm saying that the fact that you're still here, that you're still breathing, you've got some more work. And you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. So when you get up in the morning, that you can look yourself in the face and say, hey, I'm living my life on my terms. That's important.
If every follower is a leader, who's going to follow? The fact that you ask that question is proof that you've been successfully convinced by your culture that only a certain group of people were born to lead while the others were designed to follow. Because you cannot see in your mind everyone being a leader. You have problems in your mind.
You got to go through some things in order for you to get faith. You've got to have some life experiences under your belt so you can talk about how strong your faith is. Because if your faith has never been tested, you can't brag on how strong it is.
Some people, you have decided to be on the receiving end of everything that these people want to dump on you.
When you still carry your history, you are afraid of success because you may lose your friends who ain't going nowhere. Your attitude is so powerful. It creates your atmosphere. It also is a source of your natural lifestyle. If you're going to change your life, you got to change your attitude. Your belief system is the source of your attitude.
I don't love you more than I love myself. So to keep you around. So when you find yourself getting rid of all things and people, situations that no longer belong in your life, you clear out the clutter. And you don't always have to have a problem with somebody before you get rid of them. You just say, you know what? My life has a certain rhythm and a certain energy, and you just don't fit.
So for all of us out there that are chasing after these big dreams and big goals, and we are making changes in our life to get better, all of us out there who know deep down we can do a little bit more in our life, I want to ask you, what is your definition of success?
What we do not somehow capture today is lost forever. There are a lot of things in life that we can trust, but my experience has taught me that the human memory is most definitely not one of them. How many times as we go through the day do we come across a good idea, a unique quote, an interesting piece of information, or even a significant personal discovery? And each time we do, we mentally say to ourselves, I must remember that. Now, I'm willing to admit here that the human mind is a remarkable thing, but I also know from experience that the human memory leaves a lot to be desired.
Success breeds contempt. You'll know you're winning when they start hating you.
Because if you're not facing resistance, maybe it's an indication that you're going in the same direction as your enemy.
If nobody's hating you over it, it's not big enough. You'll know it's big enough when they start hating you for it. And nothing you do satisfies them. And nothing you do calms them down. That's a sign that you're getting ready to get in a net-breaking blessing.
Do you define yourself by your emotions? Do you define yourself by your status? Do you define yourself by your lowest point? Do you define yourself by your highest achievement? All of that is dangerous. Because the moment you start believing that you are what you do or you are what you went through, there's a bleeding on the inside that happens when your sense of self-worth flows from what you do and what you go through.
There are so many sources of insight and inspiration all around us. Good ideas flow in abundance from sermons and lectures, from books and magazines, television documentaries, business meetings, and conversations. But obviously, for you to capture the ideas, it is essential that your journal always be at your side. Let other people sit there thinking they can remember it all. Let other people treat opportunity casually, but not you. I would ask you to treat it seriously. Let other people wonder at the end of their lives where it all went wrong, but not you. Let other people play while you work, fool around while you study, soak up the sun while you soak up ideas. 10 years from now, they'll still be trying to figure out how to pay the bills, or wondering why their marriage isn't working out, or why they don't seem to be getting ahead professionally, but not you. Life always rewards the serious students for their labors. So, since we all know that it's nearly impossible for most of us to remember the exact phrasing of an inspiring line, or the specific details of a business conference over an extended period of time, we've got to get serious about capturing it now. Generally, if we wait until the end of the day to describe events and happenings and conversations in our journals, the specific details have already escaped us. At best, we are left with scattered fragments, and it's hard to build an exciting future from mere bits and pieces of the past and present. So I would encourage you to get it all down as it comes your way. Financial ideas, personal development ideas, time management ideas, family ideas, business ideas. Everything you have the good fortune to come across. If an idea is worth listening to, worth reading, worth remembering, then it is also worth capturing in your journal. And there are many reasons for making the effort to capture good ideas, not the least of which is the fact that the simple act of writing something on paper helps to etch the idea more firmly in our conscious minds. To hear it, or see it, or read it is one thing. To take the time and make the mental effort to capture it with paper and pen is so much more. Second, every idea has its time and place. As Victor Hugo once wrote, there is one thing stronger than all the armies in the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. Perhaps the ideas you capture today will not have any specific meaning or purpose in your life at this moment. But ultimately, at some future point in time when you march into battle, the armory of ideas you have carefully and conscientiously assembled over the years will serve you well. As we collect a variety of thoughts on any given theme or subject, there is a tendency for these individual ideas to come together and form themselves into a whole new idea. The successful human being is one who has learned to diversify his interests and gather knowledge from a variety of sources. Gather enough good ideas in one area of life, and you will form a solid block. Gather enough solid blocks together, and you can construct a whole new life. Remember, failure more often than not is attributable to lack of information about how to succeed. Next, by taking the time to capture and assemble information in our journals, we now have the added benefit of being able to review these ideas whenever we wish. You don't have to run back to the library to reread the book you borrowed last year, or call a friend on the phone and try to reconstruct the conversation you had last month. If you've captured the essence of the conversation or the highlights of the book in your journal, it will always be there for you to refer to. And here is the key point. For your journals to have their greatest value, they must be frequently reviewed. You see, writing in journals is merely a way of capturing information, but it is by rereading our journals that we begin the process of translating information into practical knowledge about ourselves, our environment, our relationships, our businesses, our financial affairs, our dreams, and our own better future. I would strongly urge you to set aside a day each week, or at the very least each month, to review your recent entries. And then once a year, take all of your journals off the shelf and read them from cover to cover. What you read will probably make an incredible story of personal growth. You see, better decision-making comes from the better thinking habits, and better thinking habits comes from practical experience, learning both what to do and what not to do. Becoming a more effective thinker on paper is a sure way of becoming a more effective person in practice. As you continue to grow and develop, you will soon discover that last year's systems won't likely meet this year's needs. You see, one of the keys to success is flexibility. We must always be on the search for more effective methods to facilitate and accommodate new ideas. But let's face it, in the beginning, the only thing that matters is that you develop the journal habit. Just one bit of advice, however, bear in mind that a journal should be capable of going wherever you go. A journal that requires more space than your briefcase permits, or more room than your desktop allows for you, more often than not, it will be left at home, gathering dust instead of thoughts, and cobwebs instead of observations. But let's get to the heart of the matter. Buying a journal is the easy part. The real challenge lies in filling it up. And that's what we want to deal with now. What should go into a journal if it is to have meaning and value in your life? Perhaps the best way to answer this question is to consider the purposes and functions of a journal. Once the matter of why we should write is clear, then the what we should write will become immediately apparent. One of the unique characteristics of a journal is that it offers you an effective way to figure it all out. To figure out life, to figure out people, to figure out business dilemmas, and most important of all, to figure out yourself. Even though you are describing your problem, your challenge, your life, your uncertainty, and your indecision, the fact that you are writing about it, as opposed to mentally pondering it, creates a space between you and the problem. It is within this space that solutions have room to grow.